Today I'm going to show you how to crochet this beautiful Tunisian 12-inch square. We're going to be using two colors, and I have videos on all of the stitching to help you along, and this video is to show you how to start this square, meaning you start with the 6 rows of purl, and then once we get up here to where the color changes are, that's where I'm going to start showing you how I did those color changes and the stitch combination. So let's get started. So like I said, I've gone ahead and I've done my foundation row of Tunisian simple stitch, 1 row of that, and then 6 rows of the Tunisian purl stitch. So the next row is where we're going to start adding in the other color. And for the yarn today, I am using Red Heart with Love, and this color is Aran. This is a number 4 weight, and I'm using a size 8mm or size L clover hook that also has a cable with a stopper on the end. And I'm going to be using this gray color. It's light gray. It's also Red Heart with Love. And what I'm doing is, so for my yarn, on my right hand side, I'm going to be using from the center pull, and then when I get over here to the left hand side, I'm going to be using from the outside. So I'm going to be pulling from the outside of the skein and using the other end. You could use 2 different colors here. You could make balls of yarn and then have a separate ball for each side if you don't want to work off of the skein this way. So there's several ways you could do that. And then this Aran color is going to be, or off-white, is going to be in the middle. So what I'm talking about is I have one yarn over here on the right, I have another piece of yarn and color in the middle, and then on the other side over here I have another piece of yarn. It just happens to be in the same color as, you know, the whole outside square part. But it's a separate piece. It's not the same piece, so I'm not carrying the yarn underneath here when I'm going back and forth. I have 3 pieces of yarn that I'm using to do my work. Okay, so to start my next row, I'm going to Tunisian purl stitch, and I'm going to make 6 stitches in Tunisian purl. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now I'm just going to drop that one off to the back, and I'm going to take off my stopper because I think it makes a lot of noise. The center color, that's going to be the square in the middle, color B. And I'm just going to not tie a knot or anything. I know that doesn't sound like me, but I'm just going to hold it in the back and get my hand in position for crocheting. And I'm going to do a Tunisian simple stitch in the next stitch. Okay, well that didn't help. Okay, maybe that's better. And then I'm going to do a Tunisian simple stitch in the next 22 stitches going across. So 11, 12, 13, 14, and I have, like I said, I have videos on all of these stitches, and I will link them all for you in the description and in the box above on the right hand corner. So if you're new to these stitches, you can watch those videos. Okay, so I want to have 22 stitches, so and I want to have 6 left. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to take one out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 stitches left to purl, and then my edge stitch. So we're going to leave the last 7 stitches open, And then I want to make sure that I have okay, 22 in the off-white. So I have 7 in the gray, 22 in the off-white, and then I'm going to get the other end of my yarn. And now I don't know where the tail went. Let's see here. Here it is. Okay. So now I'm going to again take my tail and just hold it in the back again with my fingers. We're dropping the off-white, so that's just going to hang out in the back. Getting my hands in position, and I'm going to purl, so I'm going to bring my yarn down in front and make a purl. And that one's a little fiddly, right, because it's not really attached to anything, but you have a long tail here to tighten it down later on. So I'm going to do 6 purl stitches. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then on the edge, going through both loops on the edge, yarn over and pull up a loop. Alright, so I have 7 stitches in the gray to end my row. So here's how it's looking. Okay, so I've got 3 live pieces of yarn. Okay, right like that. And then in the back, we'll weave these in later on and tighten them down and get them all secured in so they won't come out. So now on the return pass, we're going to do the same stitch count. So we're going to return pass in the gray for 7 stitches. So yarn over, pull through 1, and then yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to do that 7 times. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you see how that loop's coming up kind of high? So that's because this one here, we need to pull that down a little bit. Okay, the back tail is what I was talking about. Pull that back tail down a little bit. And now we're going to drop the gray, and we're going to pick up the off-white, and we're going to continue with our return pass. Same exact ways, yarn over, pull through 2. Because we're in the middle of a row, we're just going to continue on like we didn't change colors, like you normally would. So just keep yarning over and pulling through 2 all the way across for 22 stitches. Until we get back to the gray. And pull through that last off-white one. I'm going to pull that last tail down a little bit. Okay. And then we're going to pick up, and when I say tail, I mean this tail, or my beginning tail. I just pull it down a little bit to bring that stitch down a little bit. We're going to pick up the gray, and again continue on. Pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2 7 times until we have 1 loop left on our hook, and that row is now completed. So when we lay it down, what I like to do is kind of this live off-white one, just kind of pull it a little bit so that it's about the same distance as the other return pass stitches. And then the same thing over here. See, it's a little bit bigger. I want to pull that tighter, make it a little bit more closer in tension. Okay, so now that's kind of our setup row, really. So now for our 2-row repeat for the next section here, we're going to actually start our pattern, the rib pattern that goes in the center area. We're only doing that in the center. So the 2 edges are always going to be the purl stitches. So always start with 6 purl on the edge. And 6. drop the gray, and then I'm tightening that down a little bit more. So we're going to start with a Tunisian simple stitch again, and now we're going to do a Tunisian twisted stitch. So insert your hook and then take it out, and then insert your hook from left to right, yarn over and pull up a loop, and it cinches it in together like an upside down V. To do another one, Tunisian simple stitch and Tunisian twisted stitch. And we're going to repeat that across 11 times, or 11 sets, because it takes 2 stitches to make that pretty pattern there, upside down V. So continue that across. And I have 2 stitches left. Go ahead and make your last rib or set. There we go. Okay, so I should have 11 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we're going to drop the off-white, pick up the gray, and I'm going to tighten that down a little bit. And then we'll fix this one, tail later. And just go ahead and start purling to finish the row. We're going to purl 6 with the gray. 3, 4, 5, 6, and going through both loops on the edge, yarn over and pull up a loop. Okay, that's how it's looking. So return pass as normal for this pattern. Well, it's a normal return pass, we're just changing colors, so it's really simple. So we're gonna go through 7, then we're gonna drop the gray, pick up the off-white, and just yarn over, pull through 2. Pull the gray down a little bit. Make sure this stitch looks like a good size, the one we just pulled through, down here, and continue on. And yarn over, pull through 2, all the way back for 22 stitches until you get to your gray stitch, your first gray purl stitch right here. So you only want to go to right there with this color. And now we're at the gray, so we're going to pick up the gray and yarn over, pull through 2, and just continue across. And then I'm going to pull the off-white one down a little bit and bring it a little more snug to the work here. And yarn over, pull through 2 for 7 stitches, or until you have 1 loop left. Now to make this pattern repeat, we have 1 more row now. So that was the first row of the pattern repeat. Now the second row of the pattern repeat, we're going to begin with 6 purl stitches. Okay, and then pick up your white. Now to begin this row, we're going to alternate what we did in this previous row. So in the previous row we started with the Tunisian simple stitch. So now we're going to start with a Tunisian twisted stitch. So Tunisian twist stitch to begin the row, and then Tunisian simple, Tunisian twist, and simple, and twist. And now you can see that it's alternating where the gathering is going, right? The rib, the upside down V's. So they're going in between the previous row V. I'll show you on this one. So here's the first row down here. So you can see that it's in between. So we're on the second row right here of this repeat. So it's a 2-row repeat until we get up to here. Okay? So continue with this pattern all the way across, and then let me just show you how to, it's exactly the same, only on this row we're going to end the off-white color, or color B, we're going to end in a Tunisian simple stitch instead of a Tunisian twisted. So let me get over there, show you what I mean. Couple more stitches here. So these are my last 2 stitches. So there's a Tunisian twist stitch. Okay, so I did Tunisian simple, twist, and then end this last one with a simple. We started with a twist right on the right hand side, and then we end with a simple stitch. And then pick up the gray to finish the row, and 6 purl stitches. And return pass as I have been showing you. Return pass in gray for 7, in off-white for 22, and gray for 7 again. Okay, not pretty? So that's the repeat until we get, like I said, up to the very top. Let's see, how many rows is that? Is 24 rows of this 2-row repeat. Okay, so row 24, approximately row 24. I've completed my repeat rows, and I've ended on row 24. And now you can go ahead and we can end off your color B, which is the Aran color, and then I'm going to also end off the gray, the one that's on my left hand side. So now I'm just working with my original color that's coming out of the center. So it's the same exact pattern repeat, except from now on we're just going to be using color A, one strand of color A that we're working with. So here's my 6 pearls, and now I want to close up these loops in patterns. So I'm going to start with the Tunisian simple and then the rib. Okay, and that's going to close up the row below, and we're going to repeat that across. Okay, see how that's finishing off that row below in pattern repeat. So I finished this square here in my off-white color, like I said, with 24 rows. But if your square is not the right size, like it doesn't look like a square to you, if your stitches are shorter or longer and it looks like a rectangle, or it's not quite square yet, you can adjust how many repeat rows that you're going to make depending on how yours is coming along, how the square looks. Okay, so I'm almost to the edge here, and then on the edge, again, we're going to finish in repeat, or pattern repeat. We're going to finish with the 6 pearls on the edge, and we just cut that yarn, so we're going to put that in back, and we're just going to be continuing across with the current yarn that we're using, and we're going to keep using this one throughout the rest of our pattern. So finishing up the 6 purl stitches on the edge. And then going through both loops on the edge. Alright. So we're going to return pass as usual, and we're just going to continue all the way across till we have 1 loop left on our hook. Alright, isn't that pretty? And next we will just finish our pattern with finishing up our purl rows like we started with down here. We're just going to do the purl rows up here at the top, only using the one color. And when I get done with those rows, I'll show you how to bind off. I have my 6 rows of purl stitching now. And to bind off, Tunisian simple stitch and slip. Simple, and then slip it right off your hook. And we're just going to repeat this in every stitch going across. So continue this until you get to your edge on the other side. And on the last stitch, go ahead and pull up a loop and slip stitch. And then go ahead and end off your yarn. And here's how it's looking. Isn't it pretty? So to do the final edge, I'm going to use color B, and I'm going to use just a regular crochet hook, size J hook, 6mm, and go ahead and start in the corner, single crochet, and single crochet, and I would turn my work. I still have the right side facing, and working down the side of the rows, there's a really nice row end here that you can just put your hook in and make a single crochet. And I just put 1 single in the end of each row, going all the way down. And then when you get to the other end, in the other corner, just put 3 singles in the corner. I would go down here so it won't, if you put it here, well, on mine anyway, I have a big gap there, so I would put my 3 singles right there, and then you have your regular row ends to work into like you normally would, right? So Tunisian crochet has a really nice edge for you to put your stitches into when you're working on the ends of the rows and across the regular edges. So that's how I do that. Okay, and then here's my finished one again. Let's see, it goes this way. When you look at the V's, oh, no, it goes this way. So when you look at the V's, it's like an upside down V, right? So that means that my work went in that direction, okay? From the bottom to the top. So here's my row of singles. I put 3 in the corner, and then 1 in the side stitch, or side of the row, all the way down. 3 in the corner, and 1 across the bottom, and so forth, all the way around. And then just end off your yarn and weave in your ends. I wanted to jump back on here and show you real quick one last thing. When you're finishing your round of single crochet going around your entire edge, go ahead and end off your yarn and then just pull it through on your last stitch, and then To make the invisible join, skip the first stitch, go to the second, and pull that yarn through, and then come back to your last stitch and pull the yarn back through the last stitch. And you can see that we've made a pretend V-stitch over that first stitch. So then you can go ahead and weave in these ends along the back side, and then your granny square will have a continuous V-stitch going all the way around the entire square. I also have a video on this that I show you how to do it with a needle and how to weave in the ends and all that. So I will link that as well. So I hope you enjoy that little tip. Here's the back. It's like really textured and it's pretty as well. So it has a lot of texture there, and it's pretty thick. It's really squishy and thick. It will be really nice for the blanket. So again, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Please follow me at thepurpleponcho.com, and I am so glad you're here with me today. Thank you for crocheting with me, and have a wonderful day.